Welcome to a new release on the show. This is the 5 questions to nourish the mind, body and soul, to get to know the person sat in front of me a little bit more and ask them questions they wouldn't normally have. This has become very quickly one of my favourite parts of the interview. Now, we are re-releasing these because we released these months ago for our paid subscribers over on my newsletter, The Compassionate Cure on Substack. If you're not a paid subscriber, you will get these months in advance as being part of our community. However, we are now starting to release them. So enjoy. This is more of a personal connection and a shorter episode, but it really gets into the heart and not into the mind of the person who is sat in front of me. Radhika, we are going to do the 5 questions that nourish your mind, body, and soul.
Okay.
So, question 1. What is the one small thing about you that makes you uniquely you?
I'm trying to search for something deep, but right now the only thing that's coming is that I'm red-green colorblind. It's not uniquely me I think it's quite a common thing, but many people are shocked about that.
Yeah.
And the first question I get is, so how do you go through traffic lights? I'm like, that's why they're sequential. So they're made for people like me so I can see what's going on.
I think it's more men that are colorblind,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
Than women.
It is. But somehow whenever I tell it, people get shocked. Like, no one believes me. They're like, no, that's not a thing. I'm like, it is a thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that is something that makes you uniquely you.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. The next one is around resilience, okay, which is really important. So what has been the most persistent area of resistance in your life and how did you overcome it?
I would say taking on services to humanity that I thought were beneath me. For example, social media was something that I spent a long time resisting and also criticizing those that were invested in it because I thought, I'm beyond that, I'm above and beyond that. And something that I've had to learn to realize is that there's no such service to humanity, to my spiritual cause that is beneath me. And coming to that realization and living that realization is both liberating, but also it can be quite nerve-wracking because you're sometimes doing things that you never thought you were going to do, like being in front of thousands of people, sharing chanting and mantra. So yeah, seeing nothing as beneath my ultimate service to humanity and to divinity, if I'm allowed to say woo-woo things like that.
Well, we're going to bring the woo-woo and science together in the main show. So, that's what I'm excited about. I want to think about the small changes and big impact. So what's the smallest change that has brought the most ease to your life?
Taking care and spending time, conscious time with my partner. It's something that I overlooked because I was so driven in doing something, being someone, loving others that I forgot about my beautiful wife and 2 kids at home. And it's a very recent change. It's something that I think has elevated my consciousness. It's really helped me to be more compassionate and more loving. And it sounds so cliche, but I think it's totally true that sometimes we can be so go-getter-ish that we forget about the people that we loved from the beginning that saw us before we even started.
100%.
So that was one thing.
The word that I love that you used there was conscious.
Yeah.
Because you can spend time with people.
Yeah, right.
But it's the conscious time, right?
Right.
That's really important.
Yeah. Even though my wife will say, just sit down and watch a movie with me. And I guess that's still somewhat conscious, but being available, emotionally available, intellectually available, I think that's what people want in meaningful relationships.
Yeah, it's key. So health transformation, we're going to go there.
Oh, this is like the worst area of my life. Okay, here we go.
Oh, no,
Let's do it.
It's not. You've already started that. Let's be self-compassionate.
All right, okay.
What's one health-related change you've made that has significantly impacted your well-being?
I have got something here.
There you go.
I don't sleep with my phone next to me.
God, that's a great one.
And it's a recent one. And okay, I've gone one further. I don't take it to the bathroom with me. So at nighttime, I put my phone on airplane mode. As soon as I'm about to sleep, airplane mode, and then put it on the counter away from my bed. So when I wake up, the first thing I do is not touch my phone. It's a very consciously health-driven thing that I've done. I'm just really aware that someone named Steve Jobs, who created a device that many people are using, wrote in one of his final letters towards the end of his life that these gadgets are not to be used by his children. And he writes more about it, and I implore you to go and have a look and look at the controversy around it. But putting ourselves around these devices constantly, even if you don't believe in the radio waves and all that that's going on, but just the fact that we have to keep pushing the dopamine touchscreen, it's a big thing. And so I've tried to consciously stay away from. Even now, like I put my phone not in my pocket, I put it away from me because I don't want it to be anywhere near me.
Can I ask, like, what did you feel the difference?
I don't know if it's a placebo effect, but I feel I'm sleeping better. I feel like I'm less inclined to get a dopamine hit when I wake up. And it allows me to just, honestly, like when my kids come running into my room in the morning, I'm not anxious to look at my phone. I just want to be with them, which is incredible. It is great.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is a really big health transformation. And that's one that's very hard to create a habit around.
Yeah.
It's very easy to break. Okay, so the last question is looking at peace with the past. So what's been the hardest thing for you to make peace with about yourself or life in general?
I guess making peace with the fact that I have an ego, a false ego. Like, people try to deny it. And no, I'm a humble spiritualist. I'm the Messiah. I've come. I'm 33 years old. I'm 33 years old. Everything's happening. No, it's, yes, my message is incredible. And I'm not shy to say it. But what makes it incredible for me is that if I can get out of the way and see, like, humility is something that people sometimes misconstrue. People think humility means to think less of yourself. I'm so crap. I'm so low. I'm nothing. But humility doesn't mean to think less of yourself. It means to think about yourself less. So when you're not in the center of the universe and you can allow space to think and love and care for others, that's something I've had to make peace with, which is that, oh my God, I do have an ego and I do have to deal with this. And this is something that's part of my psyche. But if I can just be a little less about myself, a little less self-absorbed, and I think that that's made a big difference, and it's something I've had to make peace with. That was me for a number of years. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I've never heard it spoken in that way, I think, because people would use this word, which I think is very wrongly thrown around in a very kind of a different lens of narcissism, which is kind of the scientific terminology, I would say, of what you described, in the sense of how one thinks about themselves very highly, and to kind of, and in a way we all have narcissistic tendencies. That is why I think it's being abused, that word. We all do have narcissistic tendencies, but it's when it's just fully narcissistic tendencies, that's when it can become quite worrying.
That's so interesting.
So I think kind of allowing kind of ourselves to have an acceptance that yes, we are going to have narcissistic tendencies within us, and that is part of a characteristic, same as we're always going to be angry in moments, but that anger isn't a bad emotion. So I think being able to accept, and that's why self-compassion is such a big conversation in these moments of emotions, that we aren't then shrouded with shame.
Right.
We can come to acceptance and we can see them from a more of a 3D dimension.
That's profound. I need to sit with that we've all got narcissistic tendencies. Damn. Should we drop a mic?
And that is going to take us into the main episode. Thank you so much for your 5 minutes.
Most welcome.